Everyone was waiting for Ellie to appear once again at E3. Everyone was waiting for Joel to show his face once more at E3. Everyone was waiting for The Last of Us 2. Well, you got it. It's just now called Days Gone. What's up, everybody? It's Ghost Robo, and I'm here to talk about a game that I loved at E3. This is one of my most anticipated titles from here to beyond, and I'm going to tell you why. Days Gone borrows a lot from The Last of Us, and that is a good thing. And it shocks me to hear a number of people talk about Days Gone as this generic, a few years too late take on an open world zombie adventure, because I feel like it is far more than that. I got to see the game played up close with the alternate path snowy gameplay. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I got to hear from the team and what their focus is, and I'm actually going to start with what I heard back at E3 2016, and I asked them, I straight up asked them behind closed doors, I said, what differentiates your game from The Last of Us? Because the initial trailer kind of looked like they were trying to riff off that directly. And they told me the Pacific Northwest setting. And I walked out of that meeting thinking that they must be off their rocker and did not have a very good answer and didn't even know what their game was. But now, a year later, I fully realize that their answer of the Pacific Northwest is the exact answer that I wanted to hear. And I'll tell you why in a minute. First, though, this is a lot like The Last of Us, right? It is in a world that is ravaged by freakers. They aren't clickers, but they're freakers, and there's a lot of variety. In fact, there's more variety than The Last of Us, which has me excited. So far, we've seen freakers, we've seen newts, which are the adolescent zombies, we've seen runners, which are infected wolves, we've seen the Rager Bear, which is possibly the coolest thing, and I feel like taken straight out of this one Last of Us concept art piece I've seen, or fan art, I'm not sure, but it looks just like the Rager Bear. Anyhow, it also borrows from The Last of Us in its mood, right? You are a loner trying to help your remaining friends, remaining family survive in now a world gone raw, right? Everything is just lawless. Everything is a little crazy. Everything is a little unexpected. And as you walk your way through this freaker-infested place, you come across marauders, you come across wolves that aren't infected, wolves that are infected. You come across obstacles and traps. You come across ambushes. And you have to craft your way and third-person combat your way, stealth navigate your way through these scenarios in what I feel is an evolution on the gameplay mechanics that The Last of Us created. Now, the one element of Last of Us that stands tall above all the others is its story and plot. And I have no clue if Days Gone will be able to live up to that. Deacon seems like a cool character. This motorcycle gang community seems like one that is interesting and will hold a lot of exciting moments. And the people that made this game over there at Sony Bend said the thing they're most proud of is that they made their humans evil. They made their humans mean, and they included twisted stuff in the game. So that gives me hope that this story will be one that is emotionally loaded. I mean, remember David from The Last of Us? If they're able to pull off a character like that, or some groups that have similar motives, things could get really interesting. But even if the story is on a different wavelength, even if it doesn't quite live up to the plot prowess of The Last of Us, I think gameplay-wise, I love things like that. I love when you have a third-person shooter that is more about assessing a situation and then dominating that scenario more than it is just about straight shooting. And one thing that does set Days Gone apart is the setting, and it is that Pacific Northwest. It is their swarm horde mob mentality they have with the freakers. It is the dynamic open world that they have created. So the reason that I think the Pacific Northwest is the perfect answer, and the right answer that they gave me back in 2016 in that behind closed doors session with Sony Bend, is because the world they've created here not only helps to create and dictate where you play, but it helps to create and dictate how you play. And it's very, very evident once you see the alternate path snowy gameplay, because here the weather is not just a visual twist. It's not just something else for your eyeballs to feast on. It's something that messes with the gameplay mechanics as well. and it can help affect a scenario like the one you're witnessing here, and you'll get to see that in a little bit. But snow, right? Snow is the focus of the alternate gameplay, and it's not just making things all white and fluffy. It dampens your sound to make you more stealthy. It strengthens the freakers. They are apparently tougher in the cold. And it messes with your bike. The way that you control your vehicle will be altered in the snow. And I love the fact that their dynamic open world is not just relying on some side-of-the-road events or some damsels in distress or a few characters or marauders moving around and possibly encroaching upon you in different locations. I like that the world itself, the environment itself, the place itself is what's going to help create your own unique playthrough, because when and where and how you take a mission is going to dictate a lot. You know, this one right here, you called upon the Freakers, who were very active in the day, to come and take out these marauders and help you free your cohort here. But later in the snow, the Freakers at night are not as active, they're not around, and they are not as viable of an option. But instead, you can use the snow to sneakily approach and take out the camp for yourself. And I love that their world, by the way, there's the Rager Bear, freaking menacing. Cannot wait to fight this and see where it goes from here. I love that they have incorporated the animal world into their infected ecosystem. Very cool. We're going to switch over to the alternate gameplay. But yes, I love the fact that it is the Pacific Northwest that is helping to change up and switch up your playthrough. And I'm curious to see how far it goes, right? What are the different kind of weather coding sets that they have? So obviously you have a snow set, right? And that is going to be coded differently from plain Jane weather. Rain, I'm guessing. Is there any sort of combination? You know, can you have a day rain or a night rain? And are those going to be different? Are they going to incorporate the different rule sets of each and mix them together? What else could there be? You know, is there anything to do with cloud coverage or sun or things like that? I also love how this game seems to be really invested in the world from more of a lore and from more of a world building standpoint. You'll see right here this Crazy Willie's billboard, and it may be a small thing, but I took note of it the first time I saw this video, and then again when I saw it be played in person, because it shows me that they have care. Anytime you see billboards, anytime you see posters, anytime you see written paraphernalia around a world, to me that says, okay, these developers really want this to be a real place. And they really are committed to delivering the extra hours and the extra level of investment to make this feel like a lived-in world that I could go to. Those are my favorites. You know, you look at something like the Ishimura in Dead Space, you look at something like The Last of Us, and hopefully Days Gone, and there are little touches like that, billboards, reoccurring signs, you know, companies and brands that you see on food items. It's stuff like that that really cements a game like Days Gone into your mind. And I am hopeful that given all the extra time, this game has been in development for ages, and it still has no release date on it. But I'm hopeful that whenever it comes out, probably second half 2018, it is able to deliver something truly incredible. I think it's an evolution of the third-person action stealth game to open the world up, to make it mission-based, and to make it a story-focused, gorgeous, like they said, AAA quality, where each mission feels like it could be part of a linear story rather than just a go point A to point B or collect 12 of this, like many open-world games of yesteryear typically delivered. Here is an interesting scenario where you're able to place a bear trap, and it's going to cause an encounter where this group of survivors here, or this group of bandits, whichever they are, come and, they could be both, they come and react to you throwing a rock at the sign, and the bear trap gets one of their crew. And they'll end up shooting the crew member in the head, which alerts a swarm of freakers. Now, this is a very E3 demo-style scenario where it's clearly set up to showcase and highlight the different elements of and the different intersection of systems that they've created. But I wonder how how often and how likely and how easy it is to create moments like this, right? How reactive are the AI in Days Gone? If I didn't do it this way, if I placed that bear trap somewhere else, if I utilized a different trap, could I get a different reaction out of that group? Or would it always be doomed to end in a gunshot to the head? I am very, very excited and intrigued by the fact that Freakers occur in a number of different kind of styles, right? So I mentioned there's a lot of variety within the Freakers, right? Within Infected, there's a lot of variety, which is huge and something I want more of from Last of Us 2. But I like that Freakers can operate individually, like you just saw. I like that they can operate in a swarm, like you saw attack the camp. And I like that they can operate in a horde, which is what you saw last year. And they are really pushing that tech that allows them to place so many zombies on screen. They said that Deacon was fighting 300 at once in the 2016 demo. They said that there were over 1,000 killed in the 2016 demo. And that is just madness, right? When you're dealing with things that, I like the levels of combat here. Individual combat against human opponents. Individual combat against Freaker infected opponents. Mid-size combat that you can use either to directly battle or use to your advantage, like here in this combat camp situation. And then the giant sort of all hell breaks loose, balls to the wall, last-ditch effort escape that we saw in last year's demo. This right here is also interesting. I wonder how placed things like this are. How many little sort of vignettes like that are there in terms of seeing a zombie be tied to a tree and a bandit or a marauder tempt him, and then you can interact how you see fit. You can kill the bandit, you can kill the freaker, you can let the freaker eat the bandit. You can go about it in a bunch of different ways, and I think that incorporating choice like that is critical to developing Deacon as your Deacon. And because this is an open world game, you're going to get a lot more of that sense, I feel. Now, on one hand, that's a great thing because you'll feel completely, or hopefully completely engaged with the character that you're playing as. But on the other, it's great to have your character that you're playing as have their own personality and their own established traits. So I hope they walk that line in a similar way to Horizon. Aloy feels like a fully realized character that I also can empathize with, and I also get to make some choices as, and kind of dictate and define my Aloy, but she still is Aloy. It's not me roaming through the Colorado wildlands. It is much more Aloy, and then I have some input on how she interacts with those around her. And I hope that they do similar things. One other direct similarity with The Last of Us is the improvisation with items and crafting. There's not a whole lot of crafting in Last of Us, but what's there is really good. And the way that you can utilize bricks and bottles and things of that sort to help you navigate throughout the combat scenarios is very cool. And Days Gone seems to have that and more. There are a lot of resources you pick up during these demos, and it seems like you're going to be able to build traps, gadgets, gear. And I hope that they really flesh that out. There's an XP system as well, taking place in the top right corner of the screen. And I don't know if there's a skill tree or if you just gain health and stamina. I don't know how it works, but we'll see once that's eventually revealed. But we at least know that they are doing stuff with that sort of, you got to figure it out as you go mentality, that the end of the world is here and we have to rely upon our own resourcefulness to utilize what lays before us, the wreckage that we see in front of us, and somehow tape that together, bind that together, and make something that can help. And I love that idea for games, especially now that this is going more open-ended. I think the possibilities for how you can put your crafting to work in a bigger environment gonna be really awesome. Because when you boil it down, bricks and bottles, they're used for distraction. They're used to sort of move the clickers or the different infected around. And, you can get ammo and things of that sort. But if they take it a few steps further and allow you to more, Uncharted 4 style, really manipulate the arena itself, I think that's going to be super cool. But I'm very, very excited for this game. And I'm sure we'll see more Last of Us 2 at PSX. But I wanted to highlight Days Gone as a game in the vein of Last of Us that will come inevitably before The Last of Us 2. And to remind you that a lot of the things that we liked about The Last of Us are being done here, and are being done here in some cases in better, bigger ways. And I wonder what Naughty Dog thinks when they see Days Gone, what they know in the back of their minds as they work on The Last of Us Part 2, and what ways they are going to evolve on this evolution and bring us something, hopefully, even more bold than we can possibly imagine. And yes, living up to The Last of Us, that is a tall task that probably no one wants to tackle head on. But even if the story, like we mentioned, even if that part of it doesn't reach the levels of, industry-wide adoration like Ellie and Joel in The Last of Us plot did, I think this game can still be very special, and I think it can knock it to the park gameplay-wise and be the next Last of Us from a gameplay and a world point of view. But in the meantime, everyone, my friends, let me know what you think of Days Gone in the comments down below. Are you pumped for it? Do you see the similarities with The Last of Us? I sure think they're there, and I sure am pumped to see what the final product plays like, hopefully sometime soon. It's going to be a while as God of War, Spider-Man, and Shadow of the Colossus hit up PlayStation 4 for early 2018. But second half 2018, I think this game has got to come out, and I can't wait for that date. So until then, everybody, drink so much hot. Thanks again. You are all awesome, and I love you. And we will see you all later.